Alright, let's dive into a wild belief that's probably going to make some Harry Potter fans clutch their wands in horror. What if Voldemort wasn't just your run-of-the-mill villain, but an anti-hero? I mean, sure, the guy has committed some serious atrocities, murder, torture, and all that dark magic jazz. But if you look deeper, you might see a different picture. What if his extreme measures were actually his way of protecting the wizarding world from a greater evil? The Muggles. Let's get this straight. The Muggles are not exactly portrayed as the best stewards of the planet. Between wars, pollution, and the looming threat of nuclear weapons, it's like watching a horror show on repeat. Voldemort, on the other hand, comes from a world of magic, where problems can often be solved with a flick of a wand or a well-timed spell. So, from his perspective, when he looks at Muggles, he sees chaos. They're wreaking havoc on each other and the environment, and the potential for self-destruction is glaring. Imagine living in a world where you can see the future of your kind being threatened by a group that doesn't even know how to handle their own technology. It's like watching a toddler with a loaded gun. Terrifying, right? Voldemort's view could very well have been, if these Muggles don't get their act together, they'll take us all down with them. His desire to protect wizardkind might have twisted into an obsession, but the intent could still be seen as noble. Voldemort's fixation on blood purity is a massive point against him. But let's think about it for a second. What if he believed that by promoting purebloods, he was safeguarding the wizarding world from Muggle influence? In his mind, a world dominated by Muggles was a world ripe for destruction. By purging Muggleborns and anyone associated with Muggles, he could be seen as trying to maintain a form of pure magic that he believed was necessary for survival. Now, this doesn't justify his actions in any way. The sheer brutality of his methods, using fear, violence, and manipulation, is abhorrent. Yet, if you look at it from his warped perspective, he could see himself as a guardian, protecting the chosen few from the chaos of a world he deemed unworthy. It's a twisted rationale, but it's not entirely unique to him in the realm of literature and storytelling. Many anti-heroes have complex motivations that don't align neatly with societal norms. Consider characters like Walter White from Breaking Bad. He starts with noble intentions but spirals into criminality. Or even Magneto from the X-Men series, who sees the destruction of his kind at the hands of humans and reacts with extreme measures. They all exist in that gray area, where morality is less clear-cut. Voldemort is no different. He is an embodiment of that moral ambiguity. During the Second Wizarding War, Voldemort became the embodiment of fear. But what if that fear was a byproduct of his desperation? Picture this: a world where wizardkind is dwindling and the Muggles are advancing. While wizards can keep their magic hidden, technology is advancing at an alarming rate. Voldemort could be seen as the last line of defense for a way of life that's been around for centuries. His focus on wizard superiority was a misguided attempt to ensure their survival. His perspective may have been that every Muggle-born witch or wizard was a potential threat, a link that could expose the magical world to the Muggle world's chaotic, destructive tendencies. The irony here is palpable. In attempting to save wizardkind, he alienated the very individuals he claimed to protect. It's a classic case of the ends justifying the means, a logical fallacy that many dictators throughout history have employed. Let's not forget that the wizarding world has its own share of internal conflicts. Look at the Death Eaters. They were a bunch of misfits and outcasts banding together under a banner of fear and loyalty. In many ways, they were an embodiment of those who felt left behind, just like a lot of groups in our own society. Voldemort's allure was not just about power. It was about belonging and protecting what was his. Consider this: technology has been both a blessing and a curse for Muggles. While it has led to advancements in medicine and communication, it's also created weapons of mass destruction. Nuclear weapons? Yeah, not exactly a great thing for planet Earth. In a world where magic could offer solutions to problems without the collateral damage associated with technology, Voldemort may have seen himself as the protector from a Muggle world hellbent on annihilating itself, and by extension, everyone else. What if Voldemort's ultimate goal was to create a bubble where magic could flourish free from the destruction that Muggles bring? Sure, it's a twisted thought process, but isn't that what anti-heroes are all about? They often walk a fine line between right and wrong, and Voldemort is no exception. His actions might have been barbaric, but they were fueled by a deep-rooted fear of a world without magic. Like many anti-heroes, Voldemort had a tragic flaw: his inability to love. This aspect of his character is pivotal. Love can be a powerful force, and without it, Voldemort's worldview was warped. He was raised in an orphanage, experiencing rejection and hatred from a young age, leading him to see love as a weakness. This lack of emotional connection twisted his perception of what it meant to protect his kind. While he amassed power through fear, he didn't understand that a society built on love and cooperation could be stronger than one built on dominance and control. Had he embraced love instead of shunning it, he might have forged a different path, one that united Muggles and wizards instead of tearing them apart. This brings us to the question of redemption. Could Voldemort have been saved? Could he have turned away from his dark path if he had been given the love and acceptance he so desperately craved? Many anti-heroes find their redemption arcs rooted in the very emotions Voldemort eschewed. Think about characters like Severus Snape or even Jaime Lannister. Both start in morally questionable places but find paths to redemption through their relationships and choices. Voldemort, however, remains steadfast in his cold, unyielding quest for power. Now, let's talk about the legacy he left behind. The fear he instilled was real, and it shaped the future of the wizarding world. After his defeat, there was a renewed sense of unity among wizards, a coming together that may not have happened without Voldemort's reign of terror. His anti-hero arc, though dark, forced the wizarding community to reflect on its values and what it meant to be truly magical. By being the embodiment of fear, he inadvertently highlighted the importance of love, friendship, and unity. The very things he scorned became the weapons that brought about his downfall. The battle wasn't just against Voldemort. It was a battle for the soul of the wizarding world. In a way, Voldemort served as a catalyst for change. The united front against him brought wizards and witches together in ways they had never experienced before. It became a moment of collective reckoning, forcing the wizarding community to confront their own prejudices and fears. This brings us to another layer of complexity in Voldemort's character: his existence as a necessary evil, perhaps even a tragic hero in his own right. His rise and fall became the backdrop against which the true values of love and unity were tested and ultimately affirmed. Let's not overlook the role of choice in all of this. One of the central themes of the Harry Potter series is the idea that we are defined by our choices, not our abilities. Voldemort had the same opportunities as any other wizard. He could have chosen love, acceptance, and community over fear and division. But he chose power, believing it would give him control over the chaos he perceived around him. This is where the lines between heroism and villainy truly blur. Anti-heroes often make choices that lead them down dark paths, but they do so out of a desire to achieve what they believe is right. Voldemort, in his mind, was a crusader for wizard kind. Yet he chose the most destructive methods to achieve his ends. This dichotomy serves as a powerful commentary on the nature of power and the corrupting influence it can have. As we consider the final battle at Hogwarts, it's worth noting how Voldemort's fear of death ultimately became his undoing. He sought immortality through dark means, and yet, it was his inability to embrace the inevitability of death that made him vulnerable. In contrast, Harry Potter, who embodied love and sacrifice, became the true hero by accepting his mortality. This highlights another stark difference between Voldemort and traditional heroes: the acceptance of human limitations. In many ways, Voldemort's obsession with immortality was a reflection of his fear of weakness. He couldn't bear the thought of losing power, losing control, or losing what he deemed his rightful place in the world. But in chasing this goal, he lost sight of what it truly meant to be a leader, a protector, or even a friend. In the end, Voldemort's story is a tragic one that raises profound questions about what it means to be a hero or a villain. His intentions, although misguided, were rooted in a desire to protect wizard kind. However, the path he chose led to destruction and chaos, showcasing how easy it is to lose sight of your ideals in the pursuit of power. Voldemort represents the complexities of human and magical nature, where good intentions can spiral into horror when fear and power take the wheel. His existence underscores the tragic reality that the line between heroism and villainy is often thinner than we'd like to believe. In his quest to protect what he loved, his vision of a pure wizarding world, he ultimately lost everything, including his humanity. His life serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of extremism, a reminder that the very qualities we seek to protect can become corrupted when fear dominates our decisions. While he may have started with the notion of safeguarding wizardkind, his methods became a self-destructive force that ultimately jeopardized the very world he sought to defend. Moreover, the legacy Voldemort left behind forced the wizarding community to re-evaluate its values. The battle against him wasn't just a fight for survival. It became a transformative experience that highlighted the importance of unity, love, and acceptance. In the face of such darkness, the light shone even brighter, demonstrating that true strength lies in compassion and community rather than in fear and domination. So, while you may not agree that Voldemort deserves a spot in the anti-hero club, it's worth considering that he was more than just a one-dimensional villain. His story reflects the complexities of motivations, choices, and the potential for redemption, even if he never fully embraced it. Voldemort's life is a poignant reminder that the battle against the darker aspects of human nature is a continuous one, and the true heroes are often those who choose love over fear, unity over division, and life over death. In a way, his character prompts us to reflect on our own choices. Are we protecting our ideals at the expense of others? Are we allowing fear to dictate our actions? The world of Harry Potter, like our own, is filled with complexities that challenge us to think critically about right and wrong. The narrative serves as a lens through which we can examine our values, beliefs, and the power of community. As we close the chapter on Voldemort, let's remember that every story has layers, every character has depth, and every hero can be found in the most unexpected places, even in the dark corners of a villain's heart. His tale is a stark reminder of what can happen when we let fear guide our actions, but it also offers a glimmer of hope for understanding, healing, and ultimately, redemption in the wizarding world and beyond.